Jurassic World. I'm stumped. I can't really decide if I like this movie or not. On one hand, the characters are mostly predictable and not very complex, but on the other hand, dinosaurs, man! They're the stars of Jurassic Park. But that's not what makes a good movie. Characters and plot are what make a good movie. So, how are the characters and plot? I literally just said they're mostly predictable and not very complex. It's like you're not even listening. Anyway, when I say the characters aren't very complex, I mean the ones who have story arcs don't have much personality. And the characters with personalities don't really have a story arc. And these characters are predictable because not only could I point out the ones who were going to die, because that was their only purpose, but in some cases, they were so obvious that I knew exactly how they were going to die. And I knew that because they don't give any development to these characters that become Dino Chum, making me not feel very sympathetic towards them when they eat it, or when they get eaten. Whatever. And if that's not bad enough, the main characters that do get some development are just archetypes of characters we've already seen in other movies. Chris Pratt is the hero and is the only character who isn't completely f***ing stupid. The two kids are just the two kids in monster movies who don't die because there's no way they're going to violently kill off kids in a Spielberg movie. The aunt's character is the corporate workaholic who needs to connect with her two nephews. Wait, actually that's new. In fact, the aunt gets the most character development in the whole movie. But the other characters' plot lines overcrowd the movie, and it doesn't dedicate enough time to her story arc. But I still have to give the movie points for that, so good job on her character. Then there's the guy who plays Kingpin in Daredevil, and spoiler alert, he's the bad military guy who wants to turn the velociraptors into weapons for the US Army. First off, that's a stupid idea, as Chris Pratt states in the very beginning of the movie, but nobody listens to him, even though he's the professional that they hired. Secondly, we've seen this bad guy in so many other movies. If you're going to use this type of villain, do something new with it, please. Thirdly, this subplot is completely unnecessary, especially in a movie with dinosaurs running loose eating people. Why does there even need to be a human villain in a monster movie? Aren't the monsters already the villains? I would have liked this movie a lot better if they just cut that character out. So the combination of the military subplot, the aunt subplot, the Chris Pratt romance, the two nephews subplot, the InGen subplot that's just setting up for sequels, and the dino hunt that duct tapes this movie together makes the first hour and a half just a complete mess. So that must mean I hate this movie, and there's nothing to like about it. Well, maybe you should stop jumping to conclusions and let me finish. Actually, when I said the first hour and a half was a mess, I intentionally left out the last 30 minutes. Oh, how clever of me. The last 30 minutes is when the movie gets good. And not just good, but it gets great. Without giving away any spoilers, let's just say it encompasses the reason why I fell in love with the original Jurassic Park. It's the reason why I left this movie with a smile on my face and chills down my spine, despite huffing and puffing throughout the first 2/3 of the movie. Unfortunately, nostalgia is probably the only reason why I enjoyed it at all, because the film really shoves that down your throat at some points. So, do I think it's good or bad? Well, I thought about it by comparing it to the original Jurassic Park, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized that they had a lot in common, and I realized that Jurassic Park isn't quite the masterpiece I remember. It also had very predictable characters that weren't very complex. The only thing that separates the two films is that Jurassic Park didn't have so many subplots that it overflowed the movie and made it a complete cluster. In fact, all the characters had some personality to them, even the few that had story arcs. But at both movies' cores, the dinosaurs are the chief factors in it, and it's why it's become so popular. So, if you love Jurassic Park, I think you'll find some enjoyment out of it, like I did. In fact, you may actually like it more than I did. I'm kinda picky like that. If you don't like Jurassic Park, I hope this movie will at least introduce new audiences to the original. But in my opinion, this will be no more than a guilty pleasure.